Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I can't change the color of my skin. I don't want to. And I love this country, the United States of America, more than any other country. They call that nationalism. Do not let the left-wing nuts distort your values. Be proud of who you are. Here's Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot. Come on, let's start things off right with the Pledge of Allegiance and a Patriot this morning. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. Starting off a new month and a new week. My goodness. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with the best of safe driving tires. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And also Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lorna. I appreciate it. God bless you and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, and call again. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Right now, we want to get the weather on, and we're going to acknowledge the fact that K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn with Roger and the crew, they are bringing you the weather. They're right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. You can't miss them. Somebody said to me the other day, where are they? And I said, they're on the Burley-Paul Highway. If you can't see them, woo, better get the eyes checked. Anyway, they've got all the tools and equipment for you to finish any kind of a project, construction project, whatever. Please get a hold of them today. Give them a call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. And right now, here's the weather.
We're going to get awfully warm for the next couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today, a little bit of a breeze, but not much to mention. We are expecting a high in the mid-90s. 94 is what we're going to expect for today. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 61. Tomorrow, it is going to be hot. Probably going to be in a heat advisory, mostly sunny skies. We are expecting highs in the upper 90s, possible triple digits. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies with a low of 62, mostly sunny and 90 for Wednesday. And as we hit Thursday, slight chance of some afternoon thunderstorms, maybe some rain showers, and a high of 86. That's a look at your weather forecast for 7th Rand.
Gina, thank you very much. Excellent job. And when you say excellent job, you've got to talk about our friends at K&R Rental. Hello, Roger and the crew on the Burley-Paul Highway. And I urge you to check out all the tools and equipment they have to help you. Whether you need a tractor, a mower, excavators, I mean, whatever. It's all there. It's all there at K&R Rental. Again, on the Burley-Paul Highway, 678-3122. Had an absolutely excellent weekend, and I want to talk about some really, nice people in just a minute. Caller, stand by. I'll be right with you. I want to remind everybody about Darrow's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Hello, Kevin and Cindy and the rest of those great folks that, oh my goodness, you take your clothes in there and they come back looking brand spanking new. What a job they do. And by the way, if you don't have time to do your washing, they will wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes just like Mama used to do. And that's all at Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your call.
Good morning, Zeb. Every Sunday morning I try to listen to Meet the Press. Not because I like them, it's because I want to know what they're talking about Republicans. And this one yesterday was so disgusting with this Cory Booker hitting President Trump with the fact that he caused these mass shootings. And I'll tell you what, this guy ought to be run out of town with wearing nothing but a suit of tar and feathers.
Well, Keith, I guess there's two ways to look at it if you're an American that believes in our Constitution and our value system. Number one, Cory Booker, as dumb as he is, has every right with free speech to say what he wants and what he's trying to promote. I'll give him that. However, on the other side of the coin, I have the right of free speech also. And I'm going to say that I hope Cory Booker doesn't get elected to anything higher than the level of dog catcher. I find the man absolutely pathetic. I find the man absolutely nothing more than a muckraker, and I can't stand him. My right of free speech.
You talk about free speech. People, the way they talk about our President of the United States, the names they call him, and just the hate they show. I'll tell you what, I don't know what to think about these people.
Well, it's gone to the point now where never, and I dare somebody to prove me wrong on this, never did we have this kind of vitriol and hatred and despicable actions and things said about a president that we do from the left. I mean, the people on the right, and I know this is true, the people on the right, whether they want to be called conservatives, Republicans, or whatever, never said, I never on this program allowed anything like that against Obama. And still wouldn't allow anything like that against Obama. I detested the man. I detested his politics. I detested everything about him. But never did we go to this level of vitriol that's going on right now.
Why did they hate a president that tells it the way it is and is honest, I think, as any president we've ever had?
Because they didn't get their way.
Stand with him.
No, they didn't get their way. The answer is really obviously simple, and it's up on a billboard. We lost. We didn't get our way. We're crybabies, and we're going to demand that everything be put in our favor, and we're not going to change until the new election and we take over power. That's the whole genesis of what they want done, and they're urging everybody to follow them. I do urge people to follow them right over the cliff where they're headed.
I hate to be around when that cold day, where comes about, when they get back in control.
I don't even want to think about that. Keith, I appreciate your comments this morning because they fall in lockstep with what I was talking about a little bit earlier. I'm very proud of this country. I'm very proud to live here. I have nothing but good things to say about the United States of America. We've had our problems. Every country does. We've overcame those problems, and we're still the greatest country ever on the face of the earth. Somebody doesn't like that, and they want to hurl that name at me. You're a white nationalist. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And you know what? I'm proud of it.
I am too.
Thank you. Appreciate your call. Thank you. Thank you. Language today is being distorted. And I dare here I go again. I dare somebody to call and arbitrate this with me, but language is being distorted and words are being distorted into negativity. White nationalist. I can't help the color of my skin. I love this country. And now they're tying white nationalism into being a white supremacist? That is so appalling and so disgusting, and it makes me fighting mad. It should you too. You know, black nationalism, they can be proud of the United States. Brown, whatever the color of a person's skin. Why are we being racist against whites? Why are we being racist against whites and condemning people? Aren't they condemning people for the color of their skin? It's all in reverse. It's all been tipped upside down. I don't believe in any kind of racism on the color of your skin, whatever. This is so absurd and so disgustingly pathetic as to what's going on with a use of words to hurt people and stir people up against other people. Pathetic. Don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they are the best at what they do with all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Sounds like next couple of days, 2 or 3 days, we're going to see some hot days of August, which we get every year. And, of course, don't forget they've got all the air filters for your air conditioning units. They've got it all at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They get there early in the morning at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, and the number to call 678-0459. They've been in business over 6 decades. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Excuse me. Also, quickly, I want to remind everybody about a great place to go eat and enjoy the people, enjoy the service, and especially enjoy the food. And that's Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, at 611 North Overland in Burley. And the other location that they have at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. I'm telling you, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time, with all the desserts and everything else, you're going to love America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and we thank them for all their hospitality. We urge you to stop in and see them today, Denny's Restaurant in Burley. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to say thank you this morning, and I don't pass out thank yous lightly. I don't. I think that thank you that is heartfelt and really means something should be honored. And I'm giving this thank you out to the Minidoka County Fair Board, and I mean every word I say. At no time in my long career have I been treated any better or any friendlier than I have been over there with those fine individuals. Every single person on that fair board was just over and above friendly and helpful, and I mean that. And I get a little bit upset at some people saying this bad about somebody or that bad about somebody or whatever. No way. I and my wife both believe that those folks over there, they just went overboard trying to be so hospitable about their events that took place over there this last weekend. And my thank yous, heartfelt thank yous for everything to the Minidoka County Fair Board. Really nice folks. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I know. I got to get back over there this week. Oh, my goodness. Last week I was busier than a one-armed paper hanger. I got to get things done this week and get over there. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Easy number to remember and call to make an appointment and let them help you get back to being you. 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Nick Greenwell, all the physical therapists can help you with your aching and paining, and boy, have they got a job to do on me this week. Oh, my. I urge you to give them a call and stop in. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb. the time of year that I like the best. And you go to rodeo, and they say the Pledge of Allegiance and pray, or we'll listen to Star Spangled Banner and respect our flag. How many people do you see sitting down in the crowd?
Well, at a rodeo, and of course, I'll even say this at horse shows like the World Quarter Horse Show, everything else, I have yet to see anybody, and at one time, I got to tell you this real quick, there was an occurrence, and I'm not going to say where it was, or I'm not going to mention anything more about who jumped in. It was out of state, by the way. I was getting everybody all set with the preview of what we were going to do for our national anthem. You know, we had the Cowboys prayer, and then we had a little bit of kind of a rousing reading about our great flag and our soldiers and everything, and then the national anthem. And I looked down, and fairly close to the buck and shoots were about 3 or 4 young men that absolutely were disruptive and causing a little bit of a problem. And they wouldn't stand for the prayer, and evidently they weren't going to stand for the national anthem. And I can honestly say that somebody passed the word along to some cowboys that were behind the chutes, and it was amazing. Why, it was a miracle. Those 4 guys were standing during the national anthem, and I'm just going to leave it at what I just said.
Well, it makes me proud to know that people still respect the flag and our country.
Absolutely.
And our God. And I really enjoyed watching the rodeo this weekend. You did a good job.
Well, thank you, Riley, and you're always welcome to call. You're a super young man, my friend, and you take care of yourself, okay?
You have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We got a lot of things to talk about this morning, and one thing I want to mention, I'm not going to let this go. I'm kind of like a dog with a bone on this issue. And that's the fact that now it's been over 3 weeks on my program, and I need you. I need you in the audience to call Idaho Power and voice your concerns and your regrets that they haven't got the backbone to come on my program and answer questions about green energy. Whether it's solar, whether it's wind, whatever, what kind of costs are going to be incurred, what kind of security we have on possibly unreliable energy during especially the high peak usage of the summer months, etc. We need to know all these answers to these questions as they look ahead 20 years to going completely green as to what it's going to do to affect our usage and our costs. But as you know, Idaho Power, without any backbone and without any spine, like a jellyfish, declined rather vocally against coming onto my radio program. And I urge you folks to call any and all Idaho Power representatives and let them know that's spineless. That's cowardice. And it's absolutely ridiculous to treat people this way in not answering questions. And I'm not going to let it go. I think maybe they just thought, well, he'll spout for a couple of days and then he'll fade into oblivion. No. Idaho Power is a coward. In general, as an entity, they are a coward for not coming on and answering questions that you and I and every single ratepayer should know and have the answers to. Idaho Power is cowardly. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'll be right there. Want to remind you about Dr. Bill and the crew at Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Oh, my goodness. They do take care of your animals. I'll tell you what, whether you got a little bitty kitty cat or a whole bunch of dairy cattle, they'll be there and make sure that your animal's health is number one. They are a great, great outfit, large and small. They take care of them all, and I urge you to remember the number, 678-1177. Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn, 750 21st Street, where they always have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, there's one thing that I wanted to mention. We don't want to blame the wrong people just because we don't like what's going on. This concerns Idaho Power. You know, you don't want to tell a lineman what a bunch of crooks they are and all that kind of stuff, because he is just doing his job.
No, whoa, wait a minute. I don't even want you to go down that avenue. No, I'm not going to allow you to go down that avenue, and I'll tell you why. I'm not naming any specifics, and I'm not making a condemnation about any of the excellent people that work for Idaho Power. I'm talking about the hierarchy only. I don't even want to go down that other avenue of conversation. I'm saying Idaho Power as an entity, Idaho Power as a corporation, Idaho Power as a business that takes my money and everybody else's money for monthly power rates. We deserve to have questions answered as to why they're doing certain things and how. That's where I'm going to leave that conversation. I don't even want you to bring the others into it.
Okie dokie.
Okay, Keith. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, my dear friend. Thanks. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to give away some cookies in just a minute, so stand by, Sophie's Chatterbox. But first and foremost, I want to remind you, too, middle of irrigation season, and you want things to work and work right. You're busy. I mean, you're growing all the crops, the spuds, the sugar beets, everything, and you want everything working efficiently. Well, that's where Rain for Rent comes in with Jake and the rest of the crew at 134 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5065. That number again, 438-5065. They are the best at what they do, a Reinke Diamond dealer, and they've got the dedicated sales and service staff to help you. Please remember, Rain for Rent, 438-5065. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. I just got the biggest kick out of listening to you just now about Idaho Power. I was born and lived in Wendell, Idaho, until I was in junior high, and my father and you sounds very much alike. My dad tried to get on the board so that he could have some input into the Idaho Power, but they don't ask the locals. And I went to a church that there were about 10 Idaho Power people that attended church there, and my dad got so exasperated he wouldn't even go to church. And now I don't know, what is it about Idaho Power that they do not have any connection to their customers?
I can't answer that question as to what's the matter with them or why they feel so aloof and so arrogant and so non-responsive to their people that they're supposedly serving. There's the key word, serving. But they're not serving me, and they're not serving you as an audience listener on this program. I would imagine, and I say this without really knowing, but tell me if I'm wrong, I would imagine that you have many questions about a conversion over to green energy, as to the stability of power, as to the costs, as to all kinds of things related to green energy, but you're not going to get the answers because they are too cowardice to come on this program.
Well, and I can't even imagine. We've got this wonderful resource, this beautiful Snake River that is doing such great things, and we are getting wonderful electricity. You go to other places in the United States and they don't have anything like the coverage that we do. Let us continue on with our wonderful dams and our constant electricity. We're so fortunate.
Well, see, right there is a response that should be given to an Idaho Power representative if they had the nerve and the backbone to come on this program and listen to your call. You have every right to voice your thoughts and your opinions, but they, of course, are going to run and hide and only issue press releases and or go on certain media that will throw and lob softball questions.
Well, and I think that my dad kind of felt like Idaho Power got the key to the piggy bank when they started building, the power plants. And he felt like that it wasn't, somebody should have had opportunities to bid on the power plants.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Idaho Power got it all, and they had it in their backyard. And I live over here where I don't have to buy Idaho Power, but I remember the feuds. Oh, and it was something.
Well, I appreciate your call, as always, and thank you, and I hope you have a very nice day. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm wound up.
All right, thank you. I am too. Caller, I tell you what I'll do. I will take your call quickly. I've only got a minute, and then I've got to give away some cookies, so go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Yeah, Zeb, this whole thing with Idaho Power comes down to a simple fact that they don't care, and their customers' opinion don't matter. They have enough power. They have enough money. There's monopoly on where the power goes. You can't go out and choose your power company. It is who it is where you live. And so they don't have to abide by make their customers happy. Their customers can't go anywhere else. So why do they care? Why should they?
Well, and that's
the way to do things, but that's the way I have to do it.
Well, yeah, but that's the cruelty, if you will, for the whole situation. I mean, thinking that you're that arrogant and you're that consumed with the power over others that you can sit there up on a golden throne and say, we're not going to talk to anybody. We're not going to answer anybody's questions. Go away, you peons. That's exactly the attitude. Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. But there's nothing. I don't know if there's any way that we could change it. So I changed it because I found a house that doesn't have Idaho Power, and I won't live anywhere that has Idaho Power. When we were living where we were, I was really seriously thinking about going out and buying the solar panel system and set up just so I didn't have to use their power as much as possible, or even put a generator in. Because of the arrogancy of them. You call them with a problem, well, we'll get there when we can, or, well, you're not the only one who's called in. Goodbye. I mean, there was no customer service. There's no respect for the customers, and it's all arrogancy. And so, to hell with them.
Wouldn't it have been a lot easier for everyone, if they would have said, and I told them up front I was not a fan of green energy. That I want go on record. I want that to be on the record. I mentioned it to this individual that I was on the phone with. I said, I'm not a fan of green energy, but I have a lot of questions, and I said, I'd like to have you on my program. Wouldn't it have been a lot easier and better for them and look more professional on their part if they would have come on the program and answered the questions instead of running in the closet and locking the door?
Well, yeah. It would have been really professional if they would have got a hold of the customers who actually use their end product and said, hey, this is a goal we would like to meet. What are your feelings about it? What are your ideas? What are your thoughts? How's this going to affect you? Please give us your input.
Yep.
Instead of just say, well, we're going to do it, and you're just SOL.
You're right on, Riley. God bless you, man. Thank you.
Fired up.
I don't blame you, and I appreciate your being fired up. I am too. Thank you. I got to give away some cookies, buddy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate his call and his attitude, because I just still do not understand why you wouldn't want to come on a program and answer questions in a professional manner. Nobody was going to attack them. I told them up front what my standpoint was, but I was willing to have them on the show so we could discuss it. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Au contraire. They ran and hid under their desk. Right now, let's give away some cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. Delicious bakery, fantastic restaurant, all the food delicious. And if you are the lucky winner of the cookies, I urge you to stop over, give them a call first, and pick up your cookies. Oh, my goodness, it is good eating. Hey, here's the question. It's an easy one for this morning. Walter Brennan, one of my all-time favorite actors, Walter Brennan, co-starred in many, many John Wayne movies. There was quite a few. But really, Walter Brennan became a household name when he starred in what TV series? What TV series was Walter Brennan the star of? And it was a good show. Call me at 436-2244, 1-866. 927-4587. I look at my phone and I'm getting a call now. Who in the world would call me on my cell phone while I'm on the air? Got to think about that one. Calls are welcome. And give me the answer. Walter Brennan. What television series did he have where he really became a household word or name? Good morning. You're on the air.
The real McCoy.
Who is this?
This is Eddie DeNoggle.
I thought that was you. My goodness sakes, you're out of bed awfully early for you, my friend.
That's right. I love that show.
Okay. It was really good. Little Luke and the whole family, and it had some good family values to it and everything else. Thank you, Eddie. You're the cookie winner, and by golly, enjoy.
Thank you.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much. Good guy right there, Eddie DeNoggle, and we appreciate him calling in. He is the cookie winner. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We will be talking about the Cache County Fair and Rodeo extensively for the next couple of weeks, and I want to urge you to remind yourself to call the fair office and line up your tickets for Saturday's August 10th concert with Tracy Bird. Oh, this guy puts on a good show. Oh, this guy's a good entertainer. And this is sponsored by Goody Motors in the Idaho Central Credit Union Arena in Burley at the Cache County Fairgrounds. Say that fast 5 times. And don't forget, too, that's going to be on August 10th. And on Sunday, August 11th, they've got that monster truck Insanity by Live a Little Productions. I mean, there's so many things leading up to your Cache County Fair and Rodeo. Get a hold of the fair office today or go online and check it out. Of course, CacheCountyFair.com. All of this coming up all the way from August 10th through the 17th, your Cache County Fair and Rodeo. Caller, I'll be right with you real quick. Also got to remember some of the great merchants that want you to attend the Cache County Fair, including Butte Irrigation at 116 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul, and also on Kimberly Road, north of Kimberly, by Red Cap Corner. They've got all your irrigation needs, and they will get you wet at Butte Irrigation. Don't forget, too, Mountain Transmissions. These are good people that really know transmissions at 1146 East Main in Burley, and I'll guarantee you old Rick and the crew over there at 678-9110 really want to make sure that your gears are meshing and everything goes right at Mountain Transmissions. And last but not least, our friends at the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce, 679-4793. We are really blessed in the Mini-Cassia area to have a great Chamber of Commerce that wants you to grow with them and everybody work together and make this place even bigger and better. Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce. And those are some great folks urging you to be a part of the Cache County Fair and Rodeo. Caller, I'm so sorry to keep you waiting. Go ahead, please.
Well, it'll be worth the wait. No, I'm joking. Hey, a love-hate, it's an article, a love-hate relationship. Wind energy in the western U.S. is growing, and so are the conflicts. And, in Oregon, you know, they're even building them things in Oregon, I guess. And then now they're 650 feet tall.
Unbelievable.
They say it's better that they're bigger. And the amount of birds that they kill, you know, eagles and everything, that don't matter. You know, we can't even do anything because we were going to kill the sage grouse. The wind turbines are they'll kill eagles of all kinds. It don't matter. Every kind of bird you can think of, they get diced. And they're expanding in Oregon. And yesterday I happened to run into a gentleman who is my daughter's girlfriend, her boyfriend. I says, what do you do? He says, I work for General Electric. I says, what do you mean you work for General Electric? And he says, yeah, I work on wind turbines. And I says, we got into it. I says, well, that's not something, you know, we can get into politically. I says, this won't last, this conversation. Well, he says, I'm not necessarily for them, but it's a good job. They pay me well. And I says, well, I can't blame you. I says, they subsidize that at $55 a kilowatt hour. And he says, yes, they do.
So when they say that they're paying for themselves, it's because you and I are paying the difference, Deb.
Well, Randy, you have been so helpful on various individuals and stories and everything else, and I really appreciate that. But, you know, there's so many questions. We can kind of lump this together, and we can say it this way. There's so many questions about land for these various green energy projects, transitional costs, all these things that need to be answered. And you know this is true when I say this. Idaho Power was asked very respectfully to come on this program, and they took the rug off the floor and put it over their head and buried themselves. They didn't have the courage to answer the questions.
Well, let me tell you something. You need the people of this valley who are listening. If you want something done about this, you got to call Idaho Power and tell them that they need to get on this program. And I don't know that it's going to help to try to go through the Twin Storm. I don't know, whatever you think, Zeb. This is your show. I'm just...
No, I think your comments are well taken and well received and appreciated. But the fact is, it really is, and you touched on it. It's the people. The people. It's not just me as a talk show host, even though I'm a ratepayer. It's the people that are going to have to call and clamor and say, why won't you come on and answer the questions that are going to be given to you regarding green energy, regarding wind energy, regarding the turbines, regarding the costs, regarding the transitional costs. Why are we getting rid of Valmy and Fort Bridger? Why are we doing all these things? Why? I mean, people have the right to know, and they're not answering the question in a form of arrogancy and actually belittling the people that are paying their bills by not coming forth.
Well, that's the reason why you got to call. Just go to Siri or Google and ask for the number of the Idaho Power. You'll get a secretary, and you could, ask for. There's a certain person up there you can talk to. I just don't think it's my... Did I say it or not?
Well, let's not until we verify. I'm really careful about saying a name and then not having it verified. And I respect what you just said, but anybody and everybody can call Idaho Power and ask for the communications director or their public service department or whatever the case might be. But there are a lot of questions. I can tell you this, Randy, across the United States, there are many of the so-called wind farms that are getting the plugs pulled on those wind generation farms because the transmission costs are way too high. That's not me speaking. That is many, many newspaper articles and information that we've pulled to check on this. I want to have answers. You want to have answers, but Idaho Power ran in the closet and closed the door.
Well, they're trying to write this out. They hope you give up. I tell you what, whoever's listening to this program, you should care about what Idaho Power is doing, and they're slipping to the green side. I guarantee it. I've studied it. I'm scared to damn death. Brad Little, he's all about environmentalism. I can tell you a story about him, and it's just the little things sometimes tell you everything. But I'll tell you what, they're growing and they're coming this way, man. Just like people are going to Ontario, Oregon to get pot. And Ontario, Oregon, the traffic into Ontario, Oregon is so, the volume of traffic from Idaho is so immense.
Well, we're kind of meshing subjects a little bit there, but I want to stay with the Idaho Power deal, and I compliment and commend you for all the information that you've helped me garner. And I got to get a weather forecast on here right now, but I like you. I said
Put them on your program.
They need to come on. They need to come on, and I hope that they will. I hope they will. And here's the thing too. I appreciate it, Randy. Thank you very much. One other quick thought. It's not going to be one of those deals where they finally consent to come on the program and I'm going to sit there and chastise them. That's not the way to handle the situation. I'm going to thank them for coming on the show, and I'm going to ask questions. I'm not going to lob softballs at them and just say, oh, what do you think about this? I'm going to ask direct questions for things that people should know. But to not come on and basically tell, and they have told other people, maybe I'll go away, That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Oh, we got to get a weather forecast on real quick. And the weather brought to you this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Wonderful, wonderful people that really care about your hearing health. They've got 3 doctors of audiology that really know, really care, and understand what the basic hearing problems are, and they want to help you. So I urge you to get a hearing screening and call their number, 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're going to get awfully warm for the next couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today. A little bit of a breeze, but not much to mention. We are expecting a high in the mid-90s. 94 is what we're going to expect for today. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 61. Tomorrow, it is going to be hot. Probably going to be in a heat advisory, mostly sunny skies. We are expecting highs in the upper 90s, possible triple digits. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies with a low of 62, mostly sunny and 90 for Wednesday. And as we hit Thursday, slight chance of some afternoon thunderstorms, maybe some rain showers, and a high of 86. That's a look at your weather forecast for 7th Rain.
Oh, Gina, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you this hour by folks that really give a lot of concern to all the details about your hearing health. And I'm talking about Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Great folks. Wonderful people serving you at 312-0957. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A subject that has been in the news all weekend, very unfortunately, the tremendously horrendous shootings in Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso, Texas. I don't know what the answers are. I don't know why these individuals are as sick and perverted as they are to commit such heinous crimes. I don't know. So many words can be used: despicable, so sorrowful, perverted. You can pick any number of words and describe somewhat these individuals that perpetrated these crimes against innocent people. I don't know. I don't think anybody does. What goes on in the so-called minds of these individuals that want to create situations of mayhem against their fellow man, I don't know. I'll keep saying that. You don't either. Nor do the people involved in politics. This is where I really get upset. Right after these shootings, terrible, terrible events, and my heart goes out to the families, prayers to every one of them. But right after, minutes after, people that are running for a political office are starting a condemnation program and pointing their fingers at our President Trump and saying blatantly that he is the cause of the problems. Now, if that's not absolutely stirring the pot and trying to vilify a person completely removed from the situation, this is absolutely showing how sick and perverted our society is. What is going on in our society? Is there, and I'm going to just throw this out for food for thought, is there somewhat of a promotion, use that word, promotion, in our society for these sick psychos to do this? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, Zeb, since the schools way back in the 60s, we've been in a moral decline. But the shooter, you're not going to hear much about the shooter in Dayton. Information there, he's a pro-Satanist. He's a supporter of Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. He's a socialist, you know. So you're not going to hear much about this shooter. He's not a white nationalist. He might be even converted to Islam or something. I don't know. But these people don't respect life. But here's the duplicity. The Democrats won't lift a finger to preserve babies in the womb or after they're born, and that's okay. So as soon as somebody goes on a rampage, and my heart goes out in prayers to those families that lost their one. The whole problem is, the duplicity of it. And then to blame Trump, like you just said, is just absolutely ludicrous.
Well, it's got to a point, and I've got another call too, Adrian, but I'm going to talk further about this next hour with my good friend Richard Manning back in D.C., but it's got to the point where it's so easy to point your finger and blame when really the relevance of the situation and the only person that we can really point our finger at is the psychotic shooter that pulled the trigger.
Yeah, like I said, there's so many Satanists out there now, witchcraft, all this kind of stuff is, this is a big movement, and life means nothing to them. And of course, for the Muslims, if you kill people, you get those 72 virgins. So that's not a good thing. It's a theocracy of hate and killing, and so it doesn't. The bottom line is our society is in such moral decay. It's really sad. You and I are about the same age, and I'll tell you, we've seen it happen so badly in our lifetime, this moral decay, and God is now, if you're a Christian, they look bad, of course.
Well, I got to run, and I appreciate it, Adrian. I wish we had more time. I'm almost at the end of the hour, but thank you for your call and your comments, because I think you're spot on. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there, please. I've got to get this in. Barry Equipment and Rental. You bet. I am so proud to have them on my program. They've got 3 locations serving you. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the Nampa location. If you need something lifted, dug up, pushed, carried, whatever, they've got all the equipment, all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, all the Bobcats, all the different sizes for grading and leveling and laying sod. They've got all the equipment for the tough jobs at Barry Equipment and Rental, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Absolutely the best serving you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. Could it be that people are getting agitated because they see our country being flooded with foreigners, and one city after another basically will be taken over by foreigners? And all it takes is one nut who's agitated about the open border is going to start a whole, well, what would you call it? A whole other group of people to get agitated, and we really will have a hands full.
I hope we're not at that level in our society where agitation or irritation over a subject matter that you don't agree with causes someone to pick up a weapon, be it a gun, a machete, or whatever the case might be, and wreak mayhem on their fellow person. I just absolutely am appalled as to how we're living in I'm just going to say, we're living in a godless society today, and people have no sense of right and wrong, no moral value, and boy, something's got to change in a hurry, because this kind of idiocy, incompetency, and absolute destruction of life has got to stop.
Yeah, the problem is we don't know who these people are that are about ready to explode.
No, that's true. That's really true.
They act normal in everyday life, but it'll take one little incident like what happened the other day, and you'll have copycats out there doing the same thing.
And that's why I do say that there shouldn't be any pictures or names or anything else given out to the media or the public regarding these people. Tony, be sure and be listening at 9:30 because I've got Martin Moyer on my program. You remember him. He wrote that book, Twilight in America.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I will.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
All right.
I got to quickly tell everybody about our major sponsor, and that's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Ooh, they are good at what they do, and they've got all the tires for all your vehicles, your cars, pickups, SUVs, your horse trailers, boat trailers, camp trailers. I mean, they got all your tires. They've got them all the sizes, all the tread designs. Wow. You stop in, and the service is phenomenal. You go on in there to any one of the 7 locations, and they really treat you with respect because they appreciate you as a customer. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. They serve you. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. We're going to run to the news. My old compadre over at the main studio, Wheels, is going to take us to CBS, and we'll be back in 7 minutes. Good morning. August the 5th already. Wow. Where did the summer go anyway? I just turned around and it was Memorial Day, and now all of a sudden it's almost Labor Day. Holy smokes. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires at all 7 locations. You stop in and see them today. Some of our great businesses that we want to advertise also: Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you, and Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. You stop in, see them today. Right now, Wheels has got this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, get on the route service and let them come by once a week, pick up your garbage, stand on the front porch and wave goodbye to your garbage. They're going to take care of it for you. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. How do you do it? How do you get on the route service? So simple. Just give them a call, please, at 734-6969. That number again, 734-6969, Western Waste Services. Hey, don't forget on Wednesday, back to the old fishing hole with our friend Josh Anderson with Sportsman's Warehouse at 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Wednesdays at 10:06. Josh is either going to be standing in a trout stream someplace or on the lake in a boat, whatever the case might be, fishing while he's actually on the air with us, telling us about how to land the big ones. So don't forget that on Wednesdays at 10:06. The old fishing hole, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse. Want to remind you, too, while I have the opportunity, about our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary with Joel Heward, his family, and his staff, serving you and your family when there's the passing of a loved one. And they always serve the families with the best possible support and comfort, and with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please write this number down and let them help you. 436-5636. 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family from Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. You know, every Monday, I'm blessed to have a dear friend. We've never met, never shook hands, never sat down, had a bottle of an adult beverage or whatever the case might be, but I hope that day comes to fruition because I really, really value his knowledge and his open attitude on all the different issues that we talk about on this program. And I say good morning to the President of Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning. Good morning, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I'd love to get together with, we need to figure out a time when you're in D.C. or I'm out in Idaho or or somewhere in between.
Absolutely. Rick, let me set the table for you a little bit, and we need to talk about this issue, and I'm not sure what to do or how to talk about it. Number one, we had 2 horrendous shootings this past weekend, one in Ohio, the other in Texas, and right away, the anti-gun advocates are going to be coming out and demanding this new law. They're going to be going through everything they can political for the bottom line, which would be a confiscation of guns and the ruination of our Second Amendment. But first and foremost, this morning, let's talk about the persons responsible. 2 individuals in Ohio and Texas. Why and how in the world can we possibly stop this kind of insanity?
Well, that's the $64 question. What we have are two individuals that are distinct, and they aren't. I think we can't allow the left to make to group them as being the same, because they aren't. The one guy in Ohio, we actually know more about the guy in Dayton than we do in the guy in El Paso, because the guy in El Paso's manifesto was they basically said, "Oh, he's a big Trump supporter." Well, except for he basically mirrors the shooter in Christchurch, New Zealand, in terms of his desire for really a socialist government, and it's and as we know from the shooter in New Zealand, his whole objective of doing the shooting was to try to create confiscation of firearms in the United States, which then would lead to a revolution. That was his stated purpose. Well, this deranged idiot in El Paso who did the El Paso shooting, at least we assume there was one person that did the El Paso shooting. His manifesto was a gobbledygook of nonsense, and to try to say that this guy was coherently in one philosophical camp or another is just not true. Secondly, the guy in Cincinnati, one of the pictures on his Facebook page, he's wearing garb that was purchased from a Satanist website. So we're not exactly looking at somebody with a Christian ethos who actually killed his own sister in the attack in Dayton. And so these are individuals, and I refuse to allow the left to try to lump them together because they both happen to be white and say, "Oh, wow, this is some kind of white nationalist movement." It isn't. It's 2 deranged individuals acting independently with different motives who engaged in an egregious criminal act, and it needs to be treated that way. So, having said that, let's look at what actually occurred. The person in El Paso, the FBI had wind of him, and we're trying to find him because of the manifesto they published, and they weren't able to get him in time. At least that's the word. The person clearly was deranged, and it is we do not know if he was being treated for his derangement or not at this juncture. At least I don't. And similarly, the guy in Dayton, we don't know if he was being treated for his derangement. What we do know is that each of these individuals acted in a silo, and I think it's fair to ask, were there commonalities in terms of the thing if they were both gamers online? Were they being treated by mental health professionals? Were they on psychotropic drugs? But I don't know any of those things. Until I know those things, I can't give you a definitive answer, because my answer would be the same as the left does, where they give a knee-jerk reaction to any situation. It's always gun control, and we have to crack down on so-called people who support Donald Trump. And I wish there was a clean answer. The basic answer on most of this stuff is we have to make certain that there's that if somebody is in a situation where they're being treated with psychotropic drugs, because so many mass murders are done by people who are off of their drugs, it should be in the NICS database that somebody is on psychotropic drugs. And as a result, and quite honestly, I think, while it's currently illegal to purchase a gun legally if you're mentally adjudicated insane, I think it's a reasonable step that the NRA has agreed to, that there should be some kind of tracking in terms of the background check database related to people who are on psychotropics. Secondly, but the gun once again isn't the problem. But you really, if you're a gun dealer, you don't want to sell a gun to somebody who's psychologically deranged, and you know it. So I think it just creates some safety for the dealers and for the whole network, as well as people. But secondly, there's I really think that we have to take a hard look at what we're doing with video games. It's particularly online gaming.
Yes.
And as we get into virtual reality gaming, there are some studies that I've read that indicate that brains actually get rewired based upon being in an alternative reality, like a gaming world. And the more you're in that alternative reality, and the more people you shoot, the question is, do you become inured to the reality of violence and the consequences of violence? And that is and I think it's reasonable to assume that you do. But the question becomes, what can be done about that? I think at the beginning, we have to take a hard look at whether or not we should be allowing our children to be spending hours upon hours killing each other, and online gaming, and particularly when we get to virtual reality, which is a completely exponentially different situation. And doing something simple like saying, if you're under 14, you get there's a cutoff switch where you can only play for 2 hours, then you can't play for a 24-hour period. Something like that creates an automated cutoff switch to protect a 14-year-old from basically spending 8 hours a day, 10 days, 7 days a week, killing 10,000 people over the course of their teenage years. So the 1% that are deranged then who can't distinguish reality from fiction are at that point are kind of they mentally think it's okay and normal, and this is such a hard subject to have, and I struggle with it. I've struggled with it for years, but that's the best I can come up with off the top of my head.
Rick, I've never shirked my duties as a talk show host and owner of this program on any subjects, and I'm open and amenable to asking any and all questions regarding problems or maybe the curation of those problems. But let me just throw this at you. It's just food for thought, and I want to hear your speculation on this. It seems like that with these shooters and these absolutely heinous attitudes against humanity and the taking of innocent lives, could there be, or would you even suspect that there's some kind of a promotion behind the scenes or under the water level, if you will, to get these people to do these heinous acts? That's what worries me. We seem to see more of these in election years against certain parties, hoping that might be a catalyst against them being reelected. What are your thoughts on that?
I was a lobbyist for the National Rifle Association for 9 years, and it sure seemed that something bad like this would happen at the most inopportune times. And maybe that was just because I was so close to it, but it sure seemed back then that was the case. Let's go on to two levels. Okay, and I've shared with you and your listeners I'm Christian, so hence I believe that Satan exists in the world as well. And I think we're giving Satan an awful lot of tools to work with, and as a result, you create so at the very least, I think on that level, there is in fact there's an active agent attempting to have these events occur at the worst possible time, and basically increasing the number of people harmed in the process. In terms of whether this is something that's being driven by a third party, it certainly would be in the interest of foreign governments that are trying to take down the United States and our way of life to encourage this kind of activity, and they could do so anonymously using the web. And it would be we sit there, and I think one would have to be naive with all of the stuff going back and forth with us in China to think that the Chinese aren't attempting to influence our system here. I'm not saying they are in those instances because I don't know that, but I do know that they are actively engaged in attempting to influence our political system, utilizing a whole bunch of different legitimate and maybe illegitimate sources. I can't say on the illegitimate because I can't give you a for instance, but it would make sense that they would be. So given that, at the very least, it's reasonable to assume that there is some manipulation, and whether these two individuals were manipulated, I don't know. What I do know is this. I always find it really, really suspicious when at a time when I'm shocked and I'm trying to figure out how to react to stuff, I don't really think of myself as a stupid person. And I think if I really give an honest evaluation of what's happening and how and what the right reaction is, and how you can be sensitive, but also not be just knee-jerk, but really give honest opinions that matter and are thoughtful. And everybody on the left seems to come out with the same three words immediately upon it occurring, almost as if they're programmed. And I saw that this after these two shootings, the words were white nationalists and Trump racism caused it. That's what the words that the left spouted across the board, with one exception, and he's getting raked over the coals for it, and that's this Tyson Diassi guy, who's the grassy guy, who's some kind of physicist. But by and large, those words were the ones that were played. We have to do something about white nationalists, and we have to do something about Trump's racism that causes this. Everybody said that on the left.
Yeah.
And given the fact that they had ready-made talking points and seemed to resonate from everybody, I don't trust them. Because no honest person who's actually thinking comes to the same. Everybody's come to the same conclusion, and those talking points were too fine. And I know how hard it is to get talking points across a vast number of people. This was a network talking point, and whether or not it was they were just ready to take advantage of the situation, I don't know. What I do know is they were extraordinarily callous in their response, and the response was dangerous. And that, to me, is the most telling part, because they told every single one of us, they'll take our guns, and they're willing to lump us into a group and punish us as a group if we don't go along with them. Mm-hmm. They made that very clear over this weekend, and I think it's extremely, extremely dangerous, the language they put out there, because they told us the truth about the way they feel. And it makes it very hard to hold a country together when one side's determined to kill the other side, and we're not the ones who want to kill them.
That's right.
So it's a pretty. I truthfully was extraordinarily disheartened yesterday as I was praying about this and trying to figure out how to deal with it, because the left has absolutely no compunction about saying that I'm evil and that I'm the problem. And when you find somebody like that, you basically put targets on the backs of everybody who's on the side of Trump.
Absolutely.
We've seen that through the last 3 years, and quite honestly, I'm sick of it. I think a lot of Americans are sick of it, but they've doubled down. They have no self-awareness that they are as much of the cause of so-called hate rhetoric as anybody else, and they have no sense of what they're doing. And quite honestly, I was disheartened because I'm trying to figure out how do you hold a nation together under these circumstances. I'm really having a hard time figuring it out.
Yeah. Well, that was a great analogy of what the problem is. No, I appreciate your conversation on this because I know it's hard for you. It's hard for me. And we have a caller, and I'm only going to limit this caller to 30 seconds because I'm down to the last couple of minutes in this segment. Caller, real fast. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. If your guest interviewed this person and asked him what his message was for the people of this country, what kind of an answer do you think he would give?
Rick, go ahead and answer that question, if you would, from our caller. I appreciate it.
Which person are we talking about? Me?
The shooter.
The message I would give? The message I would give is that there is a God. He's in control, and we need to trust in Him.
Amen.
And put our own kind of hearts into the right place. And if we put our own hearts in the right place, then things will come out. Then then we're doing the right thing. But that's ultimately where I've come down because we have irreconcilable differences at this juncture, and given that, I just have to put my trust in the sovereignty of God.
Rick, I've only got a couple of minutes, and I this isn't fair to you, and I don't want to short your answer, but I've said it many times on my program, and I'll say it again, that I can't change the color of my skin. I'm Caucasian. You are also. And I am a nationalist. I'll be honest with you. I love this country. I think the United States of America is the greatest country of all time in the history of mankind. And I'm just absolutely so thankful to my God above for living in this country. So I guess, according to the verbiage of today, I'm a white nationalist. But why is that wrong?
It's not. That's the answer. It's not. It's nothing. What was wrong is if you sit there and you say, well, and so somebody who loves the country who's black doesn't, is somehow evil, or somebody who loves the country who's Hispanic is somehow evil. Somebody who loves the country who's Asian is somehow evil. See, we're Americans. Okay, we're not white Americans. We're not black Americans. We're not Hispanic Americans. We're Americans, and you're either in or you're out in terms of being an American, and that's the defining characteristic. And I'm just those who want to create race as the primary definer. They're just wrong. They're wrong on every level. It's not the definer. The definer is you're American. That's what makes you unique from a white person who lives elsewhere in the world, or a black person who lives elsewhere in the world, or a Hispanic person who lives elsewhere in the world, or an Asian person who lives elsewhere in the world. The key unifier is you're American, and you have to be united around the freedoms that we enjoy. And that's the only thing that matters. So while none of us can do anything about our skin color one way or the other, the fact is we can choose to be an American, or we can choose to not be an American. And that's where the ultimate choice lies, and it doesn't matter what you look like when you make that choice.
Rick, I certainly hope that you will never stop coming on this program. I appreciate your insight on all these issues. Rick Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government, and I mean this sincerely. God bless you, my friend. I'll look forward to next Monday. Thank you so much.
Very good. God bless you, too, and God bless all your listeners. This is hard times. People pray.
Absolutely.
It really matters.
Absolutely. Thank you. Rick Manning, and again, I have the utmost respect for that individual coming on our program every Monday at 9:06. Holy cow, Cassia County Fair and Rodeo's going to be underway here in just a matter of days, and many of the businesses that want you to be a part of your Cassia County Fair, including Burley Veterinary Hospital at 2869 Overland in Burley. They've got a wonderful staff to help take care of your animals. Absolutely. and they have after-hours emergency work for clients. All you have to do is call 678-5509, Burley Veterinary Hospital. And Golden Valley Warehouse at 468 West, 1000 South of Burley. Oh, they want to thank all their customers for their support over the years, and they've got competitive prices, quality seed always at Golden Valley Warehouse. And, of course, last but not least, Mountain Transmissions. Hello, Rick and the crew at 678-9110. They're located at 1146 East Main in Burley, across the street from Stotts, and I'll tell you what, they're absolutely ready to serve you. So be sure and check it out. Your one-stop transmission repair facility, Mountain Transmissions, and those businesses all supporting your Cassia County Fair. By the way, Cassia County Fair, don't forget, holy smokes, are they going to have, I keep bragging about this, but on August 10th, Saturday, August 10th, they're going to kick off the Cassia County Fair with a real kickoff. And this is a great entertainer. I've worked with him at rodeos, Tracy Bird, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be fantastic. At 8 p.m. on Saturday, August 10th, get your tickets. Call the fair office. Reserve your tickets now. Go to the CassiaCountyFair.com website. All of this sponsored by Goody Motor and Swire Coca-Cola. The Tracy Bird concert kicking off your Cassia County Fair and Rodeo for 2019. It is going to be phenomenal. Don't miss it. Also, real quick, I want to take some time to tell you about our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. My, Jeff and the rest of the crew, they are there to serve you with all the best of furniture. Maybe you're looking for a new recliner, or maybe you need a new bedroom set, or maybe, living room furniture, dinette sets, all of this and more at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley. You know, they get there early in the morning to serve you, and believe me, they've got great buys right now on carpet and flooring, and they've got a summer clearance on certain mattresses and recliners. I tell you what, that's the place to go for the comfortization and beautification of your home. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. We're going to go to the phone line right now, and I've had this gentleman on my program in the past, and I found him to be a very interesting individual that I highly respect. He wrote a book, and I had him originally on this program in light of that book, Twilight in America, the untold story of Islamic terrorist training camps inside America. His name is Mr. Martin Moyer. And Martin, good morning, sir. How are you?
Well, good morning, Zeb. How you doing?
Well, I'm fine, but I think, Martin, to kind of set the stage or the table, if you will, for our conversation, I think right now we have so many negative things going on in the world and right here in our country, so many subversive things that are going on under the table or behind the scenes, and people in this country, America, are very naive and are being fed a lot of kind of oatmeal media stories that aren't giving them the whole story. You are going to be talking to me about something that I reported on about 2 months ago regarding Muslim community patrol cars. And when I read your version and your take on the story, it scared me even more. Give us kind of a background on that, if you would, please.
Sure. So for the listeners that are not familiar with this issue, back in last November, a couple of Muslim community patrol cars appeared in the Brooklyn and Staten Island areas of New York City, and it caused quite a stir. Now, since that time, they have 3 of these cars patrolling New York City. By the end of this summer, they hope to have 7 cars, and in the near future, they hope to have as many as 30 patrol cars patrolling all of New York City. When they originally came out, they told the media that they were going to be an intermediary between the Muslim community and the NYPD because they know how to speak the Muslim lingo. That's their words, not mine. Now, since that time, after the Christchurch attack in New Zealand, they decided to ramp up what their purpose is, and that is to guard the city's mosques and to protect Muslims from Islamophobia. Basically position themselves as a security force, which they also they're not licensed to be. But we wanted to know what other goals are on their agenda, so we hired some undercover informants to go in and poke their nose. One of those individuals tried to apply for employment with the cars as an officer, and he asked the question, do we plan on enforcing Sharia law? And the answer from the director of operations was, of course we are. We're going to enforce Sharia law on the Muslims first, and then on the non-Muslims. But she also added that they would be enforcing the law of the land, meaning American law, saying that it would be hypocritical to only enforce Sharia law without also enforcing American law. So we know what their goal is, and that should not come as a surprise to anyone. You're not going to have Muslim community patrol cars, as many as 30 of them, running around New York City in some vain attempt to protect mosques and Muslims from Islamophobic attacks, which basically are not happening anyway. So they had to have another goal, and I think we now know what that goal is.
Martin, for the listeners here in Idaho and the surrounding region, the Intermountain region, Utah, Montana, Wyoming, etc., and across the United States, why should people be concerned about this? Many probably will poo-poo this idea and say, oh, well, it's no big deal just having a couple of squad cars that are Muslim community patrol cars. But really, the underlying worry from you and me, I think, is the same, and I'd like you to explain why you're concerned.
Well, I have a lot of concerns about that, but just because people do not live in New York City that are listening to this story, New York City is the most visited city in the entire United States. So a lot of people, no matter where they're at in this country, will be going to the city and need to understand what the purpose of these cars are in case they run into their officers while being a visitor into the city. But look, there's a lot of towns out there that cannot afford 7 patrol cars, much less 30 patrol cars. So if they're going to put up to 30 patrol cars in New York City, that requires a lot of money. I mean, just a ton of money, right? I mean, these cars are not cheap. They are modeled to look identical to NYPD cars in just about every way. The color, the labeling, the wording. Their officers look like NYPD officers. The patches that they wear are basically identical to an NYPD badge. You got to put fuel in these cars. You got to have insurance for these cars. You have to have officers that are going to run these cars. So if you have that type of money to put in New York City, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that they will be popping up in other cities as well.
Okay, but now there you touched on that 5-letter word that needs to be talked about much further. The money. Who is financing this? Where is the money coming from? Is it from organizations like CARE or the Muslim Brotherhood? Or really, who's putting up the chips to buy the cars?
Well, we know that they are doing some fundraisers in New York City for this organization. By far, they're not raising the type of money that it's costing to put these cars out on the streets. Our informers say the money's coming from overseas, but they will also tell us they do not know exactly where from overseas. And maybe eventually we'll get an answer on that. I think you'd have to probably be pretty high up in the organization. And even then, you may not know exactly where the money is coming from. But it does make sense that if you're going to put hundreds of thousands of dollars of these cars and the equipment that's necessary to staff the officers who will be in these cars on the streets, the money probably is not coming from any particular location in the United States. So, I'm probably leaning that it is coming from overseas, but we do not know. We know that CARE does back these cars. They come out in support of these cars. We know CARE gets funding from Saudi Arabia. People can use their imagination I tried not to come out with any. I don't want to be throw out an opinion here where I think the money is coming from. I think the report is already very shocking as it is, and we can verify everything that's in our report. And I don't want the subject to digress into my suspicions of where the money is coming from.
Let me say this, that you were teamed up in authoring this report with a dear friend of mine that has been on this program at least 30 times, and that's Ryan Morrow of the Clarion Project. I have the deepest respect for both of you individuals in putting together this report, and my concerns are chilling. I'm very, very concerned as to the naivete of the American public and just saying, oh, come see, come saw, it's no big deal. To me, this is another very strong footprint against American values and our court system. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. But I don't think they care about that. We know who the puppeteer is behind these cars, and we were able to discover that quite by accident. So what happened was that a Muslim community patrol officer went up to 4 young African-American individuals that were standing outside of a mosque in the Crown Heights area of Brooklyn. They were smoking pot. And the Muslim community patrol officer came up to them, told them that smoking pot was illegal, to get rid of the pot, and to move away from the mosque. Well, anyway, a loud altercation happened after that. And it brought out the attention of the imam of the mosque, who wanted to try to settle this dispute. He did not know what was going on. And the 4 young African-American men told the Muslim community patrol officer that he was a phony cop, and if he came back there again, they would kill him. Well, this caused an alarm of the imam, who wanted to know why these cars were patrolling his mosque. So he held a meeting with 3 other mosques in the area to get to the bottom of it, and that's when the real puppeteer rose out of this organization, and now we know who it is, and it's Imam Siraj Wahaj, who has lots of international terrorist links. He has called for the destruction of the United States. He's predicted that one day it will crumble and be replaced by Islam. He has called for the end of democracy and that America should be run by a caliphate. So we know who is behind these cars. And it all came out of that meeting, which we had an informer sit in on. Now, Imam Siraj said that the goal of these cars was not just to provide security, but to enforce Sharia law on the Muslims first. And what he meant by that was to go out and if he saw Muslims who were drinking or Muslims who were smoking or women who were out late at night, that these officers should stop that. At the end of the meeting, the other mosques, quite surprisingly, told Imam Siraj they did not want his cars patrolling the area of their mosque because it would cause an all-out war between the mosque and the drug lords who operate in that area of Brooklyn. And they complained to him and said, look, your cars are going to come out here and start enforcing the Sharia law, and it's going to upset the drug dealers here, and they're going to take revenge on our mosque, and your cars are going to be far away and not part of it, and you're going to have us holding the bag of this war. And they're going to shoot at our mosque, and they're going to burn our mosque down, and that's going to stop people from coming to our mosque, so get your cars out of our area. And Imam Siraj agreed that he would remove his cars from the Crown Heights area of Brooklyn and move them over to the Bay Ridge area. But that's right now the Bay Ridge area is full of foreign Muslims who are used to government authority-type figures telling them how to live, and they feel that they're not going to run into quite the confrontation that they might run into other areas of Brooklyn. But they are now strategizing about how to deal with this problem when these officers try to enforce Sharia law against people who are not Muslim, who do not want to abide by their religious edicts. And they got a strategy for it, and it's probably going to be an effective strategy when they implement it.
You know, Martin, you're very, very well versed in what's going on, but I'm going to try to use my simplification on some of this and throw some questions at you. First and foremost, it sounds like people may think, oh, well, that's just in New York City, like we talked about a few moments ago. But now let's talk about a possible expansion to Chicago, or maybe Dallas, Texas, or maybe L.A. or San Francisco. And then you're talking about a lot of power that's being imposed on the general public under the name of Sharia law and Islam, and there again is another very strong foothold that I'm scared is trying to take over America. Am I wrong in my fear?
Now, you know, we ran into this Sharia patrol units when we did our documentary film called Europe's Last Stand. And that film took us about 3 years to produce and made us travel to Europe about a dozen times. And we ran into Sharia patrol units over there, never thinking that they would come to the United States in my future, but here they are. And these Sharia patrol units would stand outside of areas, and they would tell people not to hold hands, not to show any public display of affection. They would go after people they thought were homosexuals on the streets. They would go after people who were drinking. They would go after establishments that were selling alcohol. So we know how they operate over in Europe, and they don't have police uniforms. They don't have badges. They don't have handcuffs. They don't have police cars, police-looking cars with sirens on them like they do over here in New York City. So that is a major, major leap of Sharia patrol enforcement from anything that we saw when we were doing our film in Europe. And people should be concerned about this because, as you know, our country has gotten to the point where it is right now because many people sit at home and go, well, it's not affecting me. It's some other place. I'm not going to worry about it. Let those people worry about it. And then years down the line, perhaps a decade or so later, they'll find out, well, now it's in my town, but it's so big, it's almost impossible to stop.
Martin, when you wrote the book, Twilight in America, did you have any idea at that time that this problem, and I'm going to call it a problem, a very severe problem, was going to become like a cancer and exacerbate itself bigger and bigger every month, every week, every day in America to what it is now? What's the bottom line? How fearful are you about the naive attitude of the American public? Oh, let them in. They'll be good neighbors. Let them build their mosque. Let them try to create their own environment. I'm very concerned.
Well, it's not just citizens who may be ignoring what they should not ignore. Our real concern when we did the book on the terrorist group Muslims of America was how much law enforcement simply wanted to ignore the fact that they are in the United States and that they are in these camps and that they have been plotting America's destruction. And they seemingly do not want to do anything about it. And that's the problem I think that scares me the most is the political correctness is so strong right now that law enforcement's hands have been tied to try to even investigate and get near these people to find out what they're really up to. You know, I thought it was shocking because when we did this report, and by the way, let me tell your listeners, to get this report, go to our website at christianaction.org. You'll see the report under special reports. Just scroll through our website, see special reports. It will be there. It's free to download. If you don't want to read the whole thing, we have a short synopsis of it as soon as you land on the page. But when you do get it, please share it. It helps us get the word out. It doesn't cost you anything to share, but it certainly helps us in distributing this report throughout the country. So I kind of got sidetracked there, Ned. Where was I at?
Well, we were talking a little bit about what the bottom line is with the naive attitude of the American public and our politicians. Even our own representative for our state of Idaho, Mike Simpson, a couple of years ago, he and I got into a big harangue on my program because he thought I was kind of a McCarthyist in questioning and really looking and scrutinizing the Muslim influence in our government. I think politicians are very naive.
Yeah, well, they are willing naivete, right? I mean, they put themselves in that position. I guess what I was going to say is that our report that we did is something that I think that the normal mainstream media would have done back in the 60s, 70s, and perhaps 80s. This investigation as to who are these people. But now political correctness has swept through the mainstream media and entrenched itself to the level where they won't even attempt to find out information that is easily gleaned with a little bit of effort. And I think when we were putting this report together, we were able to do some research on this Imam Siraj Wahaj and the security patrol service that he ran back in the 80s and the early 90s. And the New York Times, Newsday, the New York publications were all over them, reporting about the violence that they were using to enforce Sharia law in the Brooklyn area. Now, here's the same guy, the very same guy that they did so much investigative work and exposure on back in the 90s when he was running a Sharia patrol force, completely ignoring his activities here in 2018 and 19. And that's the problem of political correctness, is that I don't think it's like reporters and police officers do not want to do their job. They're too afraid to do their job, and it's leaving all of us vulnerable.
Wow. I've got to have you back real soon. Mr. Martin Moyer, founder of Christian Action Network, working with a very dear friend of mine, Ryan Morrow, on the authorization of this great report. Martin, please say hello to Ryan for me and come back soon if you would, please.
I will, Ned, and thanks for having me on the air.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Martin Moyer coming on our program this morning. The secret agenda of the Muslim community patrol cars. And we did report on this when we got the information about 2.5, 3 months ago. Wow, it is spooky. I got to get the weather on here real quick, and the weather brought to you by this hour, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. The very best, serving you for a long, long time with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, all of this and so much more by the real professionals trying to help you, your family, and your business. Offices in Burley and Rupert, as I bit my tongue. Don't forget to get a hold of them today. The best, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's the weather.
We're going to get awfully warm for the next couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today, a little bit of a breeze, but not much to mention. We are expecting a high in the mid-90s. 94 is what we're going to expect for today. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 61. Tomorrow, it is going to be hot. Probably going to be in a heat advisory, mostly sunny skies. We are expecting highs in the upper 90s, possible triple digits. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies with a low of 62, mostly sunny and 90 for Wednesday. And as we hit Thursday, slight chance of some afternoon thunderstorms, maybe some rain showers, and a high of 86. That's a look at your weather forecast for 7th Ranch.
Gina, thank you so much, and brought to you by our friends, and they are your friends, serving you to help you, your family, and your business with the best of accounting services, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And as I said, they have offices in Burley and Rupert to serve you, and they can help all kinds of folks in all businesses, agriculture, manufacturing, food production, construction, whatever the case might be. Get a hold of them today. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Wow. I want to also remind you about getting out and having some fun. Get outside and take a big breath of fresh air and say, this is Idaho, and get up in the hills on a four-wheeler or a side-by-side, or maybe the warm weather we've got. Oh, boy. Get out on the rivers and the lakes with all the watercraft. They've got it all. They've got it all over at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. Absolutely get out and enjoy. They got an accessory department over there that has everything you need. Absolutely. You stop over and see them today. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Yep. It's where the fun is sold. Okay, let's see. I've got a public service announcement I was supposed to get on, and I lost it. Here it is. Want to remind you that raffle tickets are available right now for a flat screen TV, small chest freezer filled with meat at the Minidoka County Senior Center. Buy one ticket for $2, get 3 tickets for $5, or call them over at the Minidoka County Senior Center, 436-9107. Raffle, big raffle going on for the seniors. Want to also remind you, too, about our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. And they're right there on that curve. Going around the curve right there into Rupert. You'll see them. Great big sign, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, all of this, employee benefits and more. They are waiting right now to serve you. Very dedicated and responsive to your needs. All you need to do is just pick up the phone and call for an appointment. 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance in Rupert, serving you. Okay, what have we got coming up this next hour? I really am excited about having this next guest on the air at 10:06, David Greenfield, and we're going to be talking about nationalism, and we're going to be talking about these all of a sudden derogatory terms, white nationalists. We're going to have him on the air at 10:06. Then our old friend, he's been on the program many times in correlation with the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. And that's Ryan Samples. He's on the fair board at 10:30. He's going to tell us everything from Tracy Bird all the way to the rodeo of what's going on this year at your Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. So that's what's coming up in the next hour. Stay with us, Zeb at the Ranch, right here on K-Bar 1230 AM, and then streaming live all over the universe on ZebBell.com. Wheels, old partner, take us up to CBS News. Good morning. Welcome back. Going to be a warm day today. Drink a lot of water. Stay in the shade. I think I'll take that advice right after the program. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for your safe driving. All 7 locations, Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, our friends at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Want to also remind everybody about Dino's Septic Service. You know, these folks, fast, fair, friendly service, they do a job that you and I don't want to do. You don't want to stand out there in the heat of the summer pumping out a septic tank. No. And they do it with a smile on their face. Septic tanks and drain fields installed, backhoe services, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned. Absolutely the best of service. And they've recently expanded to better serve more people. Fast, fair, friendly service. Call them at 436-6526 or 678-1638. Remember the name. Call them today. Dino's Septic Service, with that big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Hey, also, I want to remind you, too, about folks that are busy every day. I mean, they are busy every day helping you with all your electronic needs, whether it's home theater systems, video, surveillance cameras, complete sound systems. I'm talking about Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis and Lorena and the rest of the staff, they've got all your complete sound systems, like I said, all your TVs by Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. Please remember to stop in and see them today. Wonderful folks, or give them a call at 678-6997. Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and it's been quite some time since I've had this gentleman on the phone, and he is a Shillman Journalism Fellow at the Freedom Center and an investigative journalist and writer focusing on the radical left and Islamic terrorism. All that being said, we say good morning to Daniel Greenfield. How are you?
Good morning. It is a very good morning despite the presence of Islamic terrorism and leftist radicalism in the world.
You know, I'm so much in your camp, if you will, on what you just said. I'll tell you that just a few minutes ago in the preceding segment, we had Martin Moyer talking about what's going on in New York City with the Muslim patrol cars and how that might be expanded to other areas. I just think that, and I mentioned to him the naivete of the American public, we just sit back and absorb all this like a sponge, and it's very dangerous.
It is, and the danger is absolutely growing because Islam is not just about what you believe inside or what you do in the mosque. It's about changing society, much like the left. It's about imposing a particular system, set of laws on everybody. That's what Muslims believe they're obligated to do. They're obligated to enforce the good, or what they consider to be the good. So Muslim patrol cars, Sharia law, all that stuff is inevitable.
You know, let me ask you this, Daniel, and you are a thinker. You really put forth a lot of effort in what you write. You made an excellent piece that I just finished reading prior to the program this morning about what's going on with our society and whites and nationalism and everything else. Let me make this statement, and feel free to condemn me or correct me, if you will. I'm a Caucasian. I'm white. I can't change that, nor do I want to change it. And I'm also a nationalist. I absolutely think this country, the United States of America, there is none other that can even compare or come close to being an equal. So according to the verbiage of today, I'm a white nationalist and I'm one to be watched. I mean, how did this ever get so perverted?
The only thing that really fights racism in America is nationalism, which means that we're all Americans, whether we're white or black or whatever race or color we are. We're all united around a common purpose, around a common patriotism for America. And when the left began breaking that down, when they began saying America isn't worth your allegiance, you're an oppressed black man, you're an oppressed immigrant, or you're a white oppressor, it broke the country. It created racism. It said that we're all members of these different tribes and that we should all be fighting each other instead of being members of one single country, citizens of one single nation.
You know, but to take the terminology white nationalist and compare it and almost equalize it to being a white supremacist, I'm so offended by this, but I don't know how to fight back because automatically they'll turn around and call you a hate monger and a bigot.
Again, really the larger point is that the party of Lincoln was the party of nationalism. It was the party that we said we all had to be one nation. We all had to be citizens of that nation. And when you don't believe that, then you believe, like, well, Louis Farrakhan or some of those black nationalist groups, that we should all secede or maybe make our own countries and there should be a country for each particular race. And that is the real racism. When you're a nationalist, when we believe that in the American nation, then that's what actually makes us non-racist.
How do we get back to some sense of normalcy and also respect for each other without all the name-calling and without all the political correct changing and extracting certain things out of our speech and our habits, etc.? How are we ever going to be able to get this country back to some sense of normalcy?
Political correctness doesn't make America less racist. It makes it more racist. It highlights every single grievance and grudge and sore spot that people have. You get past it by actually not focusing on these things, by focusing on what we can do rather than all the grudges of the past. Because even, forget the whole black and white thing, America is a country made up of so many nationalities, all of whom had their past grudges. The English and the Irish, the Dutch, the Germans, you can go on and on. All these various groups came to this country, and they had a lot of grudges in the old country, and they all came together as Americans. And when we start focusing on all these grudges, when we start focusing on history going back hundreds of years, we're all going to be fighting each other endlessly. That's the whole point of becoming an American meant. It meant you left behind the past, and you agreed that we now are going to work together. We're going to be fellow citizens of a country dedicated to that. That's what patriotism, that's what nationalism is. And the left perverts that and says that, no, that's racism. No, that's actually what makes us non-racist.
You know, the left, and exclusively not just the left in name only, but also the Democratic Party and those that are running for the presidency, the 20 that have been up behind the podiums the last couple of weeks, everything is negative. Everything in America is bad. Everything is, it's got to be repaired. We absolutely must make apologies. We've got to pay reparations. My goodness, I'm not ashamed of of our America past. We've made mistakes, but we've tried to rectify them. My goodness, why in the world do these people have so much power right now that they think they can control the American pocketbook and take all our money on reparations, take all of our money in high taxes, and they are going to glean everything and make themselves even more power lusty?
That's exactly what it is. They need a crisis to justify seizing power. That's why things are always bad, because they always need more power. No matter how good the economy isn't working. We need to redistribute everything. No matter how good healthcare is, they need to completely have it taken over by the government until we're just as deprived as people in Cuba or Venezuela. No matter what, they need to create a crisis. They need to say that everything is terrible and that only they can solve it by taking everything over. These are the people who walk into a Thanksgiving dinner and say, well, there's no food here. We need to take everything over and redistribute the food to the right amount of people. That's how they function.
You know, you in your piece wrote a little bit about Ilhan Omar, and it's amazing to me, Daniel, and I'd like you to expand on this a little bit. It's amazing to me how she could, number one, be elected to be a national representative, and B, how she's going to possibly stay in power. I know there's other people that are thinking about running against her, but all she's done since she has become a representative is demean and demand that America change and that all of us must apologize for our sins. This kind of person is very negative for the United States of America.
It's very negative, but as you mentioned, this is the theme of the 2020 Democrat debates. It's the theme of the Democrat Party. America is a terrible place. We must constantly atone for it and transform the country. And Omar, her election is very much a demonstration of the impact that migration has on American political demographics. Somebody like this could never have been elected 20 years ago, but you had a lot of these Somali refugees coming into America, and, you know, they get citizenship and they vote, or sometimes they vote even without citizenship, and that fundamentally alters the political norms.
You know, Daniel, when you look at our immigration problem in this country, and it is a major problem, and it's illegal aliens storming and invading our country, and yet the left aiding and abetting them, Cory Booker even walking some of them across the border, how are we ever going to get back to some sense of sanity about immigration and who and whom can come in this country and control the numbers? I mean, we can't be a sponge to all people.
We've had an open border policy for a while. It was just a covert open border, and we just didn't really talk about it. We just had this massive amount of people coming in. What began happening more recently is that it just wasn't just massive, it was immense. It was a typhoon, it was a flood, which meant that the whole big lie that we didn't actually have an open borders problem is completely fallen apart. The Democrats have come out in the open, as they did at the debate, that they actually support open borders, which they weren't willing to say before. And Republicans are now actually seriously talking about immigration. So the bottom line is things can't go back to the way they were before. We can't go back to the lie that everything's okay. We know that we now have a huge problem, and the choices are becoming apparent. And most Americans do not support open borders when you look at the polls. Most Americans do not support decriminalizing illegal migration. And that's really where the battlefield is going to be in this election.
You know, and let me ask you this, Daniel, without sounding political for either party or any candidate, but this next election in 2020, I say in my 71 years, I've never seen an election that is so important and could change the face of America forever. Am I wrong?
Absolutely. This is a zero-sum election. This is an election between two parties that now have really as radically different worldviews as has been the case in, I think, at least 100 years. And the public is now getting to choose between two very, very different views. In the past, there have been times when Republicans and Democrats overlapped quite a bit. There's no overlap anymore. There's zero overlap.
What about our education system, Daniel? When you write various stories and about various subjects, our education system, it seems to be so absolute liberal from kindergarten all the way through college in telling these children of America that, oh, America's bad. It's always had a black eye. It's always done things to promote racism, etc. How are we going to overcome that so that we can start teaching these kids to have pride in their country?
We have to tackle the education system at every level. That includes the whole nationalization of the system, which was a big part of the problem. It also includes the local infiltration, and it includes actually restoring the rights of students and the rights of parents, which is what we've lost. For example, the David Horowitz Freedom Center, the organization I work with, actually debuted a K-12 student bill of rights, which would actually prevent teachers from lecturing or discussing any topics that are not in their lane. Would also prevent them from taking positions in the class on anything that's politically controversial, that's part of a party platform. But that's just one element of it. The real problem is that we've had a consolidated, centralized educational system. Teachers increasingly are spending a lot of time being trained and educated and re-educated. They've got to have master's degrees and PhDs while having very little classroom experience, because the goal is to turn these teachers into community organizers, to get their students not even in the classroom, but to get them out of the classroom and participating in gun control rallies and global warming events, because they think of the school not as a place to actually educate children, but as a place to mobilize, organize, and conduct protests against America.
You know, in the beginning of our conversation, we mentioned Islam and the growing influence of Islam in our society here in the United States. This is something that's growing day by day. And when I think about a couple of years ago, the imam that was on ABC News television saying that in his lifetime he'll see an Islamic flag flying over the White House, that should be very chilling and telling to the American public that we should be much more wary.
We should definitely be much more wary, and immigration is part of the problem. People are not really aware of just how demographically that kind of change can happen and how quickly it can happen, especially when people are coming in. We've got a family chain migration, which means you bring in one member of a family and they start bringing in everybody else. You mentioned Omar. There's this weird backstory to her in which she allegedly married her own brother. Why did she do that? Again, most likely immigration fraud. There's been some evidence coming forward that there was this very convoluted, complex immigration fraud going on there. And again, immigration fraud is very common because you can use fake family migration for one person to bring in 100 people, then 200 people. That's how it works. And once you actually have immigrants with a high birth rate that are just now here, using every single possible service, the numbers can increase astronomically. Because what you really have to look at is not the overall population. You look at the kindergarten population, and that's where the real change is happening. And when you look at kindergarten, certain areas that have been absorbing a lot of refugees, the change is monumental. The change is huge.
You know, our immigration problem, it's an open fester that doesn't look like it's going to be healed. I don't think our Congress is going to do anything, whether it's before 2020 or even after. And we're going to see this problem exacerbate itself to where this could be the end of the American taxpayer and this sovereign nation as we know it. Is that too far stretched, or do you think I'm right?
If we don't act, then yes. America is on the edge right now. If the demographic knife tips far enough, at this point we're taking in over 1 million people a year. That's already unsustainable. And when you actually start talking about open borders and everybody who can actually come by can just walk across the border and come to the country, which is what the Democrats are proposing, then it stops being 1 million. It can become 2 million. It can become 3 million. Anybody who can hop on the plane or just walk up can actually enter the country. That's the Democrat vision for 2020. And that means 2, 3, 4, 5 million a year. It means the end of America.
You know, Daniel, I always look forward to having you on the air because you're a straight shooter. You tell it like it is. Thank you so much, not only for your article, for coming on this program this morning. Daniel Greenfield, please come back in the future. I appreciate it.
It would be very much my honor. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. A great investigative journalist and writer, and absolutely tells it like it is about the radical left and Islamic terrorism, Daniel Greenfield, and I will have him back in the future. You can bet on that. Oh, let's pay some bills. I want to remind you about Greystone Living. Oh, my goodness sakes, Greystone Crossing, independent senior living on Alfresco Road. Now, that's 21st Street, just a mile east of Walmart. Now, seniors, listen to me for a minute. I urge you to call the number 650-4979. Did you get that? I'll repeat it again. 650-4979, and set up an appointment with Matt or Kelly Wiggins to come to Greystone Crossing, look at the great facilities, and then you're going to go, aha, this is home. 3 meals a day plus snacks and housekeeping and local transportation all included in the rent. But the main thing is you're passing the days with new friends and old friends and just enjoying every single day at Greystone Crossing, independent senior living in Heyburn. Call that number, 650-4979. Really good folks. You know, of the political candidates, and I could not believe this when I heard this story, and so I did a little research thanks to my lovely bride. And we pulled this story, and it's been verified that political candidate for president Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City, listen to this. He's on the back of an airplane in the last few seats with his entourage. And they were landing, and he made a plea to the pilot and the stewardesses and said, not so much as a plea as a demand, he said, keep everybody on the plane until I'm off. Why? Well, I have to make an appearance on the ABC television show The View. Well, after the plane touched down at LaGuardia Airport, one of the stewards announced on the intercom that everyone had to wait before they could deplane because passengers at the back of the plane, de Blasio and company, needed to get off first. Now, needless to say, there was a lot of conversation, and most of which I can't repeat and read over the air, about people that absolutely were irate about this. They had other planes to catch. They had business meetings to go to. And it was absolutely the most rude and didn't help his chances of garnering any votes. Most of the people that were interviewed by different newspapers, etc., said this is just a continuation of the rudeness and the bluntness of de Blasio's performance. And it's just par for the course. And all of the people interviewed just shook their heads and said, what a sick, sick way to run a political campaign. Anyway, Bill de Blasio forcing people to wait on the plane so that he could get off and go to a TV show. Wow. Oh, my. Let's see what else have we got cooking here. Next hour, we're going to be talking to Ryan Samples, and, of course, he is with the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. I mentioned just a few minutes ago about raffle tickets are available right now for a flat-screen TV and a small chest freezer filled with meat, and all of this is going to be drawn for at the Minidoka County Senior Center. You can buy one ticket for $2, 3 tickets for $5, and the number to call for more information, 436-9107. And let's see, what else did I have here? This is really important, too. The third episode showing of Lavoie Dead Man Talking, presented by the Crane family and Jeanette Finicum in conjunction with the Center for Self-Governance. This is going to be this week, Wednesday night, August 7th at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the King Fine Arts Center, small theater at Burley High School South Entrance in Burley. Don't forget, admission is free. Donations will be accepted. This is really a well-done third episode of Lavoie Finicum, Dead Man Talking, presented by the Crane family and Jeanette Finicum. And that's going to be Wednesday this week, August 7th, from 6 to 8 p.m. Don't forget that. One other quick note. I've got to get this on. Come join the folks at the Rupert United Methodist Church. Put this on your calendar. The annual ice cream social at the Rupert United Methodist Church, 605 H Street in Rupert, will be Sunday, August 25th at 5 p.m. Going to be good. Really good. Homemade ice cream, cakes, all kinds of things at the Rupert United Methodist Church, August 25th. There you go. I've got most of the public service announcements taken care of, and we're going to send it back over to Wheels at our main studios, and then we'll be back in just a few minutes with our friend Ryan Samples. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And right now, I also want to remind you about some of the great businesses in the area that are supporting the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. And they're saying, come on to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo for 2019, including Kelly's Bearings at 1407 East Main in Burley. Don't forget, don't let your machine sit there while you're waiting for a part to come in. You go on in, check everything out at Kelly's. Believe me, you'll know where you're at when you get your bearings at Kelly's Bearings. Really good folks. Magic Valley Irrigation, 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Don't forget, Jeff and the crew would like to thank all the farmers and ranchers. And, of course, don't forget they've been offering irrigation system service and repair since 1978. Magic Valley Irrigation. And last but not least, Mountain Transmissions at 1146 East Main in Burley. And I'll guarantee you one thing, they are your transmission physician. Free towing, free diagnostic, and free estimates at Mountain Transmissions, 1146 East Main in Burley. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we're going to talk to the Maple Bar King of the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo Board. Here he is, Ryan Samples. How are you?
I'm good, Zev. How are you doing?
Are you all ready to stoke up on a bunch of maple bars and cotton candy and ice cream and hot dogs and everything else?
That'd be nice if there was time for it all.
You know, a lot of people don't realize, and I'm glad you brought that up, a lot of people don't realize volunteer work on being a member of the fair board, any fair board, and you're on call basically 24/7 when events going on, problems, or you need to put out little fires or whatever. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, you're right. It's a lot of work, but we make it through it somehow.
All right. Well, tell us all about what's special about the 2019 version of the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo.
Oh, there's a lot of things. If you haven't drove by, there's a lot of things going on. So we got some new bleachers. If you've ever sat in the Wild Bunch, hopefully we've got you some seats put together. They're working pretty hard to get them fixed. So you have to throw a wrench in your pocket, tighten your seat down. But we'll get it all done. We'll get here, but. We got a lot of sponsors, new sponsors. I don't know. We're trying to get it all done before this starts on Saturday.
Yeah. Now, Ryan, I'm going to ask you a favor to hold that phone really close and very still. We got a little bit of a fade-out problem on the cell phone. Let's talk first and foremost about a concert that's coming up on Saturday, August 10th. And I personally have worked with this guy on about 2 or 3 different occasions. He puts on a wild, good concert. Tracy Bird. Tell us about that.
Well, we're excited for Tracy Bird to be here. Gates will open at 6:30. Show at 8. We've got him supposedly put on an hour-and-a-half show. Should be good. Come down, enjoy it. We'll have the beer garden again. There's plenty of tickets still available. We've got general admission. Got Goody Motor on again as a sponsor. They've stepped up and helped us a ton. They'll be here with their pickup, and I think I'm not sure what kind of. They're doing some giveaways too. So check in with them on their website and see what they've got.
Okay, now let me ask you this. What is the easiest way for people to get tickets? What do they do?
The easiest way is go to CassiaCountyFair.com and go online, or we have a person down here manning the ticket office. The hours they're a little sporadic this week, but next week for sure we've got them. And also remember there's day of pricing increases, so if you're it's best to buy your tickets in advance to not have to pay the extra money. So,
okay.
Look on our website. I think there's some times posted at the ticket office, but we're trying to make all accommodations to get everybody a ticket. So.
All right, now Ryan, that's going to be coming up this next Saturday on the 10th, the Tracy Bird concert. But then the fair action continues on Sunday with the Monster Truck Insanity. What in the heck is that?
Well, we go from the traditional fair and rodeo to the monster truck, motorcycle, everything for 2 or 3 days. We bring in dirt, we make big jumps. They got 3 or 4 monster trucks. They have a tough truck deal. If you want to bring down your pickup and run around, they'll let you, I'm sure. You've probably got it all tuned up and ready to go, but you can bring it in here and show us how tough it is. They let you go over the jumps, beat your pickup up, and do all those things. And they've got the original monster trucks to do the jumps and put on a show for the fans.
Okay, now when does that start? And do the people buy tickets right at the gate, or do they have to prepay?
You can go. That one is a little different deal. You can go to the Live a Little website, Live a Little Productions, and also we have pre-sale tickets here at the fair in our ticket office for that.
Okay.
I believe they have a 4:30 deal. They come down and they have a monster truck with some bus seats in it. They'll give you a ride. You can pay extra and get a ride in their monster truck, and then meet the drivers and do all that. And then they start at 6:30 or 7, and they go from there.
Okay, now on Monday and Tuesday of Fair Week, you're going to have what's called the Moto Rodeo on Monday and Tuesday, August 12th and 13th at 7:30 p.m. I got to tell you, I'm not quite sure. What's a Moto Rodeo? What do they do?
Well, we change it up a little bit every year, but we try to have all kind of match races or head-to-head races between. We have it broke up in age divisions from youth to. They're even going to have a old-timers this year for 50 and over, which you and me won't fit into, but we'll be all right. We're still that younger age. But we've set up a course out in the arena. We've had barrel racing, we've had pole bending, we've had jumps, we just try to mix it up every year and give them and they have head-to-head races, and whoever wins, they get a trophy and a belt buckle, just like you're a big-time rodeo guy.
All right. Now, one of the big things about the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo is the parade. And I know that there's a lot of people that are planning on being in the parade. It's very well done. Tell us when the parade's going to be and the route and the starting time.
Parade's 10:30 on Wednesday. There is no sign-ups. If you want to be first in line, you get first in line down, I think, 27th and Overland Avenue, I think is where they start, and it goes clear. You line up clear over by the high school. The route will be down Overland Avenue to Main Street, from Main Street to the fairgrounds, just same as always. So if you get your blanket, get your seat saved to be out there on the route to see them all go by.
Okay. Now, Ryan, that evening at the county fair, you're going to have another team ranch sorting. And this event really has jumped in popularity over the years. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the team ranch sorting is very popular with people. It's the free, one of the free events we have down here at the fairgrounds. You come down and watch. All the food booths are open. Come down, get your food, your maple bars, your cotton candy like you like, and enjoy the team ranch sorting. We got several teams are signing up, so we got two rings that go all the time, and they're sorting the cattle. And usually starts, I think, 7:30, and we go till it's done. Maybe 11 o'clock, maybe midnight. Who knows?
Okay. Now, of course, Thursday and Friday and Saturday, you've got the great big PRCA rodeo. What are some of the highlights you want to mention on that this morning?
We've got. Looks like we've got a full slate of cowboys coming. The entries are good. A lot of good names involved. Thursday night is our man-up night. Friday night is tough enough to wear pink night, and Saturday night we do the Patriot night. We try to pay tribute to all the veterans and people that have been involved in that kind of stuff. And yeah, it should be a great show. We've got some We've also got this year we're doing a little different deal. We've got some mini bull riding. Some young some youngsters, some mini youth bull riding. We're going to start at 7:30, little pre-rodeo action, and then we'll start every night. We'll start at 8 o'clock. But the mini bulls will be every night at a little bit after 7. Still working out all the details there, but yeah, we have some youth that are coming in, and it's actually a qualifier to get some of these younger kids qualified to bull riding down in Las Vegas.
Now, I want to mention, too, that you've got a rodeo specialty act that I've worked with many, many times. Tell us about those great folks.
Yes, we've actually got the Riata Ranch Cowgirls coming back. They've been here, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I'm not sure, but I don't know, trick riders, I don't know what you really want to call them, but they put on a really nice show. They'll be here for the parade. They'll be in the parade with their costumes, and yeah, so, and they'll be in every night at the rodeo. They'll be here to put on the specialty act and ride their horses and show you what they can do.
You know, let's talk a little bit about some of the other events that are going on. First and foremost, I understand that you're going to have pari-mutuel horse racing coming back to the Cassia County Fair.
Yeah, and yes, we were planning on it. We don't know exactly what we have for races and horses until 2 days before, but we're making arrangements to have them. They'll be on Friday and Saturday. Starting at post time will be 1 o'clock. That will be when the first race is around, is at 1 o'clock on Friday and 1 o'clock on Saturday.
Okay, and all the kids look forward to going to the fair and getting on rides at the carnival. What about the carnival this year?
Carnival is same carnival as we've had before. There's also pre-buy tickets available right now at Taco Bandito or at our fair office, or our ticket booth here at the fair. They're $25 in advance, and I think they go up to $35 once the carnival gets here and gets going. So if you want your all-day pass at a $10 discount, you better get into Taco Bandito, get you a taco, and get you a ticket. But the carnival starts on Wednesday evening, goes through Saturday night.
Okay. Now, is there a website that you want to have people check out all the different times and all the different events and all the different showing of the cattle and the livestock and everything? What's that website?
CassiaCountyFair.com is be your best deal. And if you've been used to coming to our livestock shows, make sure you check our website, because we've changed some things up. Our shows aren't 2-day shows anymore. We've moved some of them into 1 day, to where the kids will show in the morning and the afternoon, and they'll be done. So if you're planning on coming to the sheep show on Wednesday, it's actually Thursday all day. And so make sure you check the times and where they're going to be, because we've also moved around some different things to alleviate some of the congestion. We've got 2 shows maybe going at one time. So if you're into the rabbit show, you need to be looking at all those different times and the building that they're in.
Okay, now, Ryan, on Saturday, the 17th, I understand the 4-H and FFA sale. Tell us a little bit about that, if you would, please.
Yep, the fat stock sale will be happening again, or market animal sale will be happening again. I think the buyer's breakfast is at 7 a.m. Sale starts at 8. Come down and show your support to the local kids, and it's always a great thing, and it's a good thing to be a part of.
You know, tell me a little bit about what's the theme of the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo this year?
Stir up some fun at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo.
And it will be. Ryan Samples, you did a great... I'll tell you what, you do a great job promoting the fair and the rodeo, and I know we're going to have you back on the air in the next couple of days, but thank you for this preview of all the activity that's basically going to start this next Saturday with the Tracy Bird concert. Ryan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. Thanks for your support.
All right, sir. Take care. Thank you very much. Good guy right there, Ryan Samples, and we'll have him back in the next couple of days and have us tell us more about what's going on at your Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Better pay some bills right now and get the weather on here, and then we'll take some more calls. Give me a jingle on the landline at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Absolutely the best of meats. Got a family gathering coming up, a family reunion, company picnic, or whatever. whatever, you better get a hold of Don Scarrow and the crew today. Whether it's the marinated pork ribs or the tri-tips or all the different bratwurst and sausages and all the buckboard bacons. Oh, it's delicious. You get a hold of Scarrow's Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're going to get awfully warm for the next couple of days. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today. A little bit of a breeze, but not much to mention. We are expecting a high in the mid-90s. 94 is what we're going to expect for today. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 61. Tomorrow, it is going to be hot. Probably going to be in a heat advisory, mostly sunny skies. We are expecting highs in the upper 90s, possible triple digits. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies with a low of 62, mostly sunny and 90 for Wednesday. And as we hit Thursday, slight chance of some afternoon thunderstorms, maybe some rain showers, and a high of 86. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb Durant.
Caller, I'll be there in just a second. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody we thank Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, write this down, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrow's Meats. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
I apologize, sir. I just accidentally pressed on it when I was trying to press on the weather.
Do you mean to tell me that you gave a false alarm?
I did. I made an oopsie. I'm so sorry.
Well, you know what that means when you do an oopsie, to put it in your verbiage, that the next lunch bunch, you have to buy Deanne and I our lunch.
How about I buy you dessert?
You cheapskate. All right. All right, Wheels, thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I got to say this because it happened to us Saturday evening, and I don't understand what's going on with drivers, truck drivers, especially this time of the year. Why in the world, and I mean this, we were on a portion of Highway 30, and there was a double yellow line. Now, for those that are driving that don't understand what a double yellow line means, it means don't pass, stay in your lane, you knotheads. And we're going up a little incline where visibility was limited, and a great big semi pulls out and passes us on a double yellow line going up over this little hill. Now, you got to question how those drivers ever got a license. Now, I did get the name on the side of the truck, and I'm going to be calling that trucking company and telling them that they've got an idiot that was driving Saturday. And are they in that much of a hurry? Are they in that much of a hurry that they want to jeopardize not only themselves, but other people coming the other way, or anyone involved in the immediate area in a tragic wreck, passing on a double yellow line on a hill? It kind of makes you wonder if they ever got out of kindergarten. Not real bright. And what I'm saying this for is right now we're in the middle of harvest. Harvest is starting up with all the grain, and it's going to continue now for a couple of months. Please drive carefully out there and use some common sense. Please. Calls welcome, 436-2244. You can't be in that much of a hurry. 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call, please. I'd love to hear from you. All you're doing is just hurrying somebody to a major accident. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Please be careful out there. Oh, by the way, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, this little girl is getting in a lot of trouble all the time. And it's not very well said or promoted on the national news media. But I just thought I would pass this little story along. The controversial chief of staff for Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York resigned last Friday. He's also being currently investigated by federal officials. Listen to this. Saikat Chakrabarty. Boy, there's a name for you. How'd you like to have to write that on a check? Saikat Chakrabarty, faces a complaint filed with the Federal Election Commission in last March for alleged violations having to do with illegal fundraising. An investigation is currently underway, sources told the New York Post, and according to the FEC, complaints only lead to investigation if there's enough evidence for them to believe there may have been a violation. Now, she has had other things come up in her tenure as a representative, and this is just adding to the pile, if you will. And I mentioned last week, Wednesday, there is a very sharp, smart, young woman that's running against her in the next election, and we can only hope and pray that she, I think her last name is Murray, I think her first name is Shelley Murray, I believe it is, will emerge victorious. She shows a lot of common sense, a lot of smarts, and a lot of grasp of the issues, and hopefully she can take AOC and get rid of her. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Love to have a call. Oh, there was another conversation that was made over the last couple of days. I want to comment on this real quick. Ilhan Omar and Brigitte Gabriel. Now, I've had Brigitte Gabriel on my program many, many times. She's a friend of mine, and I say that proudly. And she has a group called Act for America. The conversation was such on a national talk show that Ilhan Omar was to be much more respected than antagonist, that's the word they used, Brigitte Gabriel. How in the world could they ever say that? Brigitte Gabriel, absolutely one of the great Americans, and really fighting every day for our Pledge of Allegiance, our national anthem, and the great Constitution this country has. And on the other side of the coin, Ilhan Omar, a woman that absolutely was brought to this country and afforded everything, and now trying to turn America's founding principles into a thing of the past. Ilhan Omar, another woman that needs to be defeated and ousted from our United States Congress. Want to say a great big shout-out thank you to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, boy, do they do good things for you and your driving safety. Now, not only do they have all your tires for safe driving for your cars, pickups, SUVs, anything and everything that you got to put tires on, but also they offer a free pre-trip safety check before you leave on a little road trip before the kids have to go back to school. Yeah, they'll check your air pressure on your tires, check the wheel alignment for tire wear, front-end components, shocks and struts, battery with a load test, all of this brake components. They just want you to leave point A, go to point B, and then turn around and come back to point A again safely. These are really, really good, caring people. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and they've got 7 locations right here in the Magic Valley. You better believe it, with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks, and struts and batteries, but all the best of tires. Lane in Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. None better. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. That's about going to do it for me today, and I had a wonderful long weekend. It's going to be hot over the next couple of days. Make sure you stay hydrated, drink a lot of water, and don't forget, we always end our program by saying the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. But here about a month ago, we started incorporating another slogan to our end of our program, and it's the one that means the most. In God we trust. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch. Have a great day.